Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning in Australia. Today, the subject of the talk is suffering and tonglen practice, giving and taking. So before I give a talk on suffering and tonglen, I would like to chant the mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha, Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. 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 Om Muni 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 Maha Muni Soha. Om 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 Muni 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 Maha Muni Muni Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha 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 Muni Soha. Om Muni 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 Maha Muni Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. The subject of the talk is suffering, and we will meditate on taking and giving. Tibetan word for suffering is called dukkha, and the Sanskrit term is dukkha. So we are here right now at the what do you call this scope, Lam Rin scope, small scope, and we're talking about suffering and meditate on suffering meditation on suffering is very important. Although we feel that we have enough suffering, in generally, as a human being, we have suffering. In generally, we have 5 skandhas, 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. And as a human being, we have 5 skandhas, and then also we got karma, and we got mental defilements, and due to our previous karma, we are here reborn. We took rebirth as a human beings, which is actually a good one. We are fortunate enough. We took rebirth as human beings, not as a other beings in the 6 realms of samsara. As a human being, we have awareness, we have consciousness, we have understanding. As a human beings, we naturally we have awareness about our own mind, and we have questions. We ask questions: Who are we? What are we doing here? And what is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of life? And so on and so forth. We have ability to ask these kind of questions as a human beings, and so and we have perceptions, we have mental formation, we have consciousness, these kind of skandhas, and but at the same time, our skandhas are suffering, our form is suffering, our feelings are suffering, our perceptions are suffering, our mental formation is suffering, our consciousness is suffering. This is a part of life, part of samsara. It has been this way since we are born and rest of our life, and until the life ends, and then life goes on again. So wheel of life, samsara, and so why are we suffering? This is a big question. Because we are sentient beings, we are not arahats, we are not for destroyers, we are not Buddhas, we are not enlightened person. This is why we are suffering. We are in this samsara. We are caught up in this, what we call wheel of life, going round and round. And this is why we're suffering. So this is what we call general suffering of samsara. And so, as I said before, as a human beings, we have awareness, right? We have awareness of suffering. We can develop awareness of cause of suffering. We can meditate on cessation of suffering. We can develop consciousness and meditation on path to cessation of suffering as a human being. And therefore, having suffering is not bad at all. And although who wants suffering? Nobody wants to hear about suffering, right? Nobody wants suffering. But suffering itself is, awareness of suffering is path to cessation of suffering. So when I was teenage, growing up in India, 1960s, there was a very famous Hindi film song. The song is, I don't know the whole song, but one of the kind of key word is in Hindi word, dukh ko apna sati ho, or sati hai, dukh ko apna sati hai, which means suffering is my friend. Suffering is my friend. So this is a kind of generates, this brings a kind of awareness. Suffering is my friend. And I thought, usually you say, I thought suffering is my enemy. Suffering hurts me. Suffering hurts myself, hurts my family, friends. Suffering hurts everybody. And for example, this pandemic and COVID-19 that we are experiencing at this moment is cause of suffering. Is cause suffering for everybody. And we are suffering from the COVID-19. So why would you say suffering is my friend? So this is a good message. And I heard this actual song was a very emotional song. And the Pandit Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, he cried when he saw that movie and heard the song. And it's very moving. It's a back in 1960s, black and white films. And so I taught myself why they say suffering is my friend. Then later on I realized the word suffering is my friend is actually very spiritual word and philosophical word, and is very much a Buddhist philosophy. And because we are suffering anyway, so you have to learn how to live with suffering. You have to learn how to work with suffering and without being mad and angry and or not wanting to see what is suffering, why I'm suffering, what is the cause of my suffering, how do I work with this suffering, how do I kind of use this situation as a path of enlightenment, as a Lojong practice in Tibetan Buddhism. We call Lojong, which means thought transformation. And how do I use suffering as a thought transformation? My thought, suffering thought, and transform into a path of enlightenment, Lojong. Because Lojong means transforming adverse conditions into the path of enlightenment, which means transforming suffering into the path of enlightenment. So, and better to be friends than enemy, try to be enemy, right? And accept as a friend, right? And if you accept as a friend and willing to work with it, and so then it become a lojong, and transforming we can find it, we can transform suffering. In order to transform suffering, to reach cessation of suffering, we have to practice path to cessation. Path to cessation. Path to cessation of suffering. And therefore, one has to learn the suffering and cultivate awareness of suffering. So there are many different kinds of suffering. According to Lam Rin, general suffering of samsara, and then specific, particular suffering as a human beings. And in Tibetan word for general suffering is called Korwa Tadagi Dungar. Korwa Tadagi Dungar. Korwa Ji Dungar, which means general suffering of samsara. And Cheda Doyam. Cheda means specific suffering. So, according first Panchen Lama's teaching, Lam Rin Dalam advised that before you meditate on suffering, you visualize Shakyamuni Buddha in front of you. And this is why we said Shakyamuni Buddha mantra before. Visualize Shakyamuni Buddha in front of you, sitting on a beautiful throne, sitting on the lotus and moon cushion, and wearing beautiful robes of monk saffron, burgundy, and golden robe, and Buddha Shakyamuni sitting cross-legged. Right hand is in the mudra of meditative echo pose. Left hand is in a mudra of meditative echo pose, holding a bowl with the nectar inside. Left hand is in the mudra of giving blessings, and the Buddha is sitting there as a compassionate, holy being, most holy being, the Buddha Shakyamuni sitting. And then you make supplication from your heart and recite the mantra Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. And then you visualize the Buddha as an object of refuge and also object of opponent power. As I mentioned last week, four opponent powers. One of the power is called power of object. So when you visualize Shakyamuni Buddha in front of you, there's a tremendous power there. And what this power does, this power is bless your heart, bless your mind. And this power is kind of overwhelming, in other words. And it's in English. In Tibetan word we call chinlap or ziji or sinil. Three different words. They all come together. Chinlap is blessings. You can feel the blessings of the Buddha. Chinlap. Ziji means like a sort of majestic energy, very, very beautiful energy, and sort of the energy is glowing and makes your mind be here and now, to be able to meditate, make you feel very peaceful. And then silnun means overwhelming. It's the blessing of Buddha is so powerful, so it helps you to be able to meditate and make you feel like, I want to be like Buddha himself. I would like to become Buddha. This is why I meditate, and I would like to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that's we call silnun. So visualize Shakyamuni Buddha first, then you recite the mantra Om Mani Mani Maha Muni Soha, and after that, then we could do. First, we do analytical meditation on suffering. Okay, let's do a little bit of meditation right now. I would like to ask you to visualize Shakyamuni Buddha in front of you. We meditate together. So in front of you, not very far, about 10 feet from you, above you, then there's a beautiful sky, and visualize beautiful throne, and on top of the throne, there's a lotus cushion, moon cushion, Shakyamuni Buddha sitting there, and in front of you as the object of refuge. Buddha's face is a beautiful golden color, and he has Ushnesha on the crown, Purna on his forehead, and very beautiful. Shakyamuni Buddha is in front of me. I'm very fortunate to visualize, to be able to visualize Shakyamuni Buddha in front of myself. So let's visualize Buddha for a little bit. Then after that, we do meditation on suffering, analytical meditation. After we visualize Shakyamuni Buddha in front of us as the object of refuge and power of object, now we do analytical meditation on suffering in general. So, as I mentioned before, the Hindi word dukh ko apna sati hai. So suffering is your friend. Now, I think this is an important word because when you meditate on suffering and cause of suffering, then it generates awareness of suffering, awareness of Dharma. It generates awareness of renunciation. Therefore, it is friend because the awareness of suffering is helping us. And so the definition, usually definition of friend is someone is nice to you, someone is kind to you, someone is helping you is friend, right? And enemy, definition of enemy is someone is hurting, someone is causing problems ongoing, somebody is sabotaging, somebody is mean to you, and or goes on and on, you normally consider as enemy, right? So here, suffering is friend. It helps us to generate awareness of samsara, awareness of renunciation, and so forth. So there's a samsaric happiness and samsaric suffering. Two things. Samsaric happiness does not help us really. Only in short term. Samsaric happiness doesn't help us. Actually, the more we have samsaric or worldly happiness, the happiness makes us distracted and more distractions, and the worldly suffering makes us more indulgent, more deluded, and worldly suffering generates our ego, boosting our ego, and generate more self-cherishing, and worldly happiness generate more clinging and divisions, and so on and so forth. Okay, so worldly happiness doesn't, material objects, worldly success does not become friends. I will tell you example. When myself and the Tibetan refugees, when we first arrived in Nepal and in India and back in 1960s, we're all poor and we're all suffering. So everybody's stay together. Everybody work together. Everybody, all the communities come together because we all victims, we're all refugees, we are suffering. We all live in the refugee camps, right? And also spiritual teachers, lamas, regardless their tradition or sect, different sect, everybody's together. Everybody share. Lots of respect. There's no divisions and no discriminations, and more kind of non-sectarian atmosphere, more non-sectarian feelings. That's because we're all suffering. We're all in the same, what we call in English, you have this expression, saying we're all in the same boat, right? So there's a kind of unity, right? Because we are dependent on each other because we're suffering. Then over the years, 60 past, 70s, then 80s, 90s, as people are more established, people have more freedom, more material possessions, settled in India, and different people have different jobs and professions, land, settlements, and material success. People are gone further and further, and everybody people become more and more independent. Many people, Tibetans, refugees went to the West, and then more part, and then more individual, and more separateness. There is not much of unity, and sometimes there's more problems. And what we call, there's a word in the West called Exile Syndromes, and the refugees from Tibet, refugees from Vietnam, refugees from Iraq, in Syria, and so on, Cambodia, and so on, so on. They bring their baggages with them to the new land, and they call exile syndromes. There are some divisions, and then not very united anymore, because you feel like we don't need to unite it. We all have jobs, and we have success. Become sort of, some people become rich on material level, and successful. Many Tibet lamas, they have a big dharma centers, and monasteries and temples, and lots of students, disciples, and schools, colleges, and this and that. So they feel like we don't need the other sects, and there's no unity going further and further, which is one way, it's just kind of sad. And then, on the other hand, fine, that's okay. Everybody should go their own ways, do their own things. If you are successful, you're rich, you're good, you're happy, then congratulations. Why not? But this is part of life, how the samsara is. So what I'm saying is, you see, suffering generates awareness. This is why meditate on suffering is important, and analytical meditation on suffering. So we are suffering right in this moment. People are suffering from COVID. And now a little bit better, because there's a light end of the tunnels, and many people get the shots, vaccine, and vaccine number one, vaccine number two, and so on and so forth. And people feel more free, a little bit safer, and you don't feel like you're trapped, and still we are suffering. So who knows what will happen, how long this pandemic goes on, the overall whole world, right? But this is one kind of suffering, right? But this too will end. And but there are many more sufferings. We have suffering of what we call birth, suffering of old age, suffering of death, suffering of dying, and all kinds of sufferings, suffering of not achieving or not getting what you want, and suffering of losing what you love, what you want, what you like. We go through this kinds of suffering, right? It's a part of life. And suffering of daily sufferings, so on and so forth. And people get divorced, people get separated, or people are getting old and sick, and old age suffering, and people are lonely and suffering from what we call emptiness syndromes, where children leave, and suffering. And so, in one sense, why is suffering when children leave? They should go, and that's what you wanted. When you're raising kids, I wish these kids grow up quickly and then they go and get their university degrees, college degrees. Then they have their own life. Then I become free myself, do what I want to do. I have less responsibilities. Okay, so you feel you're not happy because children are not growing. They're not doing what they should do, and not getting what they want, and so on and so forth. They're not fulfilling your wishes. Now the kids gone. They got what you want. They got their degrees. They got their partners, and they're going. And then you say, I'm unhappy now. I'm alone. I'm suffering from emptiness syndromes. So what do? You can't win, right? This is samsara. This is how it is. You see, and so if you feel emptiness syndrome, then you feel yourself. You should say to yourself, "I'm a yogi now. I'm a yogini. I'm like a monk. I'm like a nun, and I'm free. Hooray, hooray!" And I have so much time to practice Dharma. Why am I suffering? I should not complaining myself, or I should not whining inside of myself, and it should just be free, And this is part of suffering. This is awareness of suffering, of emptiness syndrome, and you need to find a solution inside of you, inside. Only way to find a solution for that is you have to practice lojong and change your attitudes and this adverse condition in the path of Dharma practice. This is actually not adverse condition. It's a good condition. What is adverse condition? What is not adverse condition? Depends on your attitude, right? So this is suffering, but in a way is path, cessation of, turning the path of cessation of suffering. And meditate on this way is very important. So, generally speaking, there are three kinds of sufferings. In Tibetan word, we call chaba dujiji donghal, which means suffering of all pervasiveness and suffering of all pervasiveness. So what it means that there is suffering everywhere. In other words, I haven't used the word dissatisfaction, and that's equivalent of suffering. There may be better translation than the word suffering. The Sanskrit word is dukkha, as I said before. So the correct translation, maybe a better translation, is dissatisfaction. Right? Dissatisfaction. Well, depends on physical and mental suffering. On a physical sense, the dukkha, the physical dukkha, it should be translated as suffering, right? We can't say dissatisfaction, suffering, and you can feel your physical suffering. You can feel your knee is ache. You feel your ankle is aching. You can feel your back is hurting. And, when you sit and meditate, sometimes your back hurts, sometimes your ankle or knee hurts. And, or when you don't meditate, if you keep walking all day, walking around, again, your knees hurting, maybe ankle hurts, and walking too much, too long, right? Or it depends on the position of the body, right? Or this is part of what we call suffering of all pervasiveness. Or it's also part of the other suffering. Second suffering is called suffering of changeability, suffering of changeability, changing, right? So suffering of all pervasiveness means that everywhere you go, there is suffering. There is a cause and condition of suffering. Wherever you go, and wherever you travel, wherever you are, there is a suffering. For instance, now we're here in this COVID time lockdown, so we are suffering from trapped here and can't go out, can't have a nice dinner with friends in the restaurant, can't go to cinema, can't go performance or art, whatever, those things. And you're stuck in the house, you're suffering, right? Social distancing, suffering of social distancing, suffering of lockdown, and so on and so forth. And then we are glued ourselves on Zoom or YouTube or social media like YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, and this and that, right? There's another kind of suffering. After a while, you got eye sore. After a while, you get headache, too much electricity, and too much, keep going, cycle around. The more you send messages, you have more messages coming, and we should cycle like hamster running around inside the cage. And that's another kind of suffering, right? Lack of sleep and dehydration, lack of fresh air, and this kind of suffering. Right? So this is the suffering of all pervasiveness. And then soon, hopefully soon, COVID is over, or we are more free to go out, lift up the restrictions and lockdown. Soon we were able to fly, and the airlines start their business. We could fly over to other cities and other parts of the country or overseas, right? Then you're traveling, right? So it sounds great. Now I'm traveling. I can travel, right? Sounds like you're going to the paradise or you're going to Pure Lands or something. And vacation, holiday, whichever word you want to use. Okay, so you go. And then that's not a perfect, because there will be more sufferings. You go somewhere on the vacation. I remember, and one time myself and two friends went up Queensland, north of Australia, and from Victoria, looking for sun. We said we're going to go up north, and Maroochydore or Noosa Head somewhere, Caloundra, somewhere beach. So we went. They rented a nice apartment on the beach. We went up there. We drove for 3 days, and when we got there, the whole time rained and rained and rained and rained for 5 days, non-stop raining, and no sun shining, and no point of going to the beach. And it's nice to go there, fresh air, but no sun. So there you go. And our dream of this sunshine coast, being in the sun, is kind of gone, right? And so this looking for some kind of happiness, that expectation is gone. And so what we did, what did we do? We sat inside our motel. We practiced. We meditate every morning, couple of hours, every night, couple of hours. That was not bad. That was good. That was fantastic. And it was kind of like a retreat. So it was what I call it obstacle blessings. These obstacles become blessings, right? And then what do? We did lots of cooking. And one lady, she's Italian. She made a beautiful Italian food, pasta, and good food. And we ate good food, and we watched rent some video tape, and watched some good quality movies. And we did lots of practice. And we went home back to Victoria. And overall, it was a good holiday. It was not bad at all. But our idea was changed, like what you're looking for is not there. You don't get what you want. You get something else that you don't expect. And you got different. It's always changing, you see. So in a way, it's suffering, but it's not really suffering. In the beginning, when there's no sun, sucks. There's no sun, it seems like suffering. But then we change our attitude. We are older people. We know what to do. Myself and the other two people are older than me. We say, okay, no problem. We've done this kind of stuff before. So we change our attitude, find some other solutions, and rearrange things around, and everything's fine. So it's not always bad. But what I'm saying, the point is here, there is always potential. Something doesn't work, and things can go wrong or change around. That's called suffering of changeability, suffering of all pervasiveness, and it is also called suffering of changeability. It changes, so you have to change yourself according to the situation, according time and place. You have to be ready to be adapt. You have to adapt. You have to make adaptations, and you have to be skillful and prepare yourself and for all the changes that's going to happen in this world, samsara, and for myself, it's year now, a little over a year, the COVID came around. So I stayed at my home and the whole year, and it was not that bad. And actually, it was very good for me. And I get good sleep, eat good food. I cook my own food, and I feel much more healthy. I made a big garden, grew my own food, and I wrote a fantastic book. And this book is published now. And so COVID was not a problem for me. And I didn't get sick. And I won't get sick. And I don't think so. So you have to, change things around. And so this is what we call the suffering of changeability. And there's another also suffering called the suffering of suffering. Okay. So maybe that's enough talking about suffering. And actually, there are two Tibetan lamas. One teach a lot about suffering. Suffering. And the other lamas talk about cessation of suffering. They always talk about cessation of suffering. So some Westerners, they give a nickname. One lama who talks about suffering all the time, and the suffering and cause of suffering, and they call him the cause of suffering because he talks suffering all the time. And the other lama always talk about happiness, cessation of suffering, and they call him the cessation of suffering. Two lamas. One is called cause of suffering, the other one is called cessation of suffering. This is a Western people make this kind of jokes, right? And the Tibetans won't dare to say those things. To Lama is cause of suffering. How dare? How can you say that? And but actually, Western people are good. They're honest, and have a good sense of humor, and they just joke, right? It's okay, just joke. So this time, I think we'll do a little bit of meditation on analytical meditation on suffering right now. Then after that, we will have time for question and answer. So this time, the subject of meditation on suffering is, at this very moment, you should meditate on what kind of suffering the most severe or most intense suffering or severe suffering, or what kind of suffering that you are experiencing right now. You meditate on that. For example, if you have physical suffering, say pain or lots of pain, or maybe cancer or cause of cancer, something, whatever you're suffering, you meditate on that. And if you have a pain, cancer, suffering, first meditate on that, to know that. So when I say meditate on suffering in the body, means you know that, develop that awareness, and then you breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out. And when you breathe out, your physical suffering and pain is transcending, okay? When you breathe in, imagine fresh prana coming into your body, fresh chi coming inside of your body, and it helps to kind of immunizing and generate immune system, and your chi is becoming stronger, so it can release the pain as you breathe out. Okay, if you are physically suffering. If you don't have physical suffering, just purely mental thing, projection, or being kind of self-centered, or being with kind of mild neurosis, and whatever, you're kind of obsessed about this mental thing, or being uncomfortable, being unhappy, whatever caused you unhappy right this moment, and meditate on that to know this is your mind. It's all your mind is playing tricks. Your mind is playing games. Your mind is playing blame on you. Your mind is complaining. Your mind is attacking you. Your mind is sabotaging you. Your mind is um, make you feel more sad, and you kind of repeating the suffering, and to know that. And let's do this for a little bit, and then after that we do tonglen, and after that we do have time for question and answer. So let's do a little bit meditation on suffering. We do analytical meditation on suffering. This time we will do tonglen meditation, a Tibetan word. Tonglen. Tong means give, len means taking or receiving. So we are, as the Dharma practitioners, we are meditators. We have lots of things to give. We are very fortunate. When I say we got lots of things to give, which means we have a gift of spiritual practice. We have been studying Dharma, Buddha Dharmas, Buddhism for many years. Some of you have been studying for 30 years, 20 years, maybe 50, 40 years. Depends on you. Some people have been practicing for 10 years. Even that's a lot. So you have studied Dharma. You got lots of things to give. We're very fortunate, and we got abundant to give. So we can give and we should give. And this is the best kind of gift we can do. We can offer to the world, to all sentient beings. And so what we are giving is we give bodhicitta, we give love. And so this goes with the breathing meditation. So you said, as you breathe out, you send your love to all sentient beings and to every human beings, every sentient beings on this planet, doesn't matter who they are. And regardless their backgrounds, religion, cultural or no religion, or doesn't matter who they are, everyone we send love, and including send animals, insects, the mother nature, earth, we send love. So as you breathe out, you send this white light coming out from your heart through your nostrils. And from your heart, white light come out from your nostrils, goes to all sentient beings, who especially who needs most, who are suffering right now. You send them lots of love. And then as you breathe in, what we call taking, receiving, right? As you breathe in, you imagine you taking the pain and suffering of sentient beings coming in the form of smoke and fumes and dust, so on and so forth, coming in and to your chest, and then and purifying by your loving kindness. So you take in and then purify. So therefore, you don't need to concern. You don't need to worry about you might get affected by this taking in. It will not happen, because due to your compassionate mind and bodhicitta, it won't hurt you. It won't affect your mind. So you take in how much you want to take in. It's up to you. You don't have to take so much that makes you sort of knock you down or overwhelm. Knock you down from the cushion. And you just take in a little bit. Depends on how much you can take in. Just even a thought is good enough. And you don't always have to visualize like a fume or smoke coming in. Just the thought of taking in is a good. This is what Lama Tsongkhapa said in his teaching. Just thought of taking in or visualizing prana coming in to the body, into the channels, is good enough. And so do that, sending, tong, and receiving, taking, and len, tonglen gomba, and meditate on tonglen. We do that for a little bit now. Thank you very much. This time, if you have any questions about Lam Rin meditation or Buddhist meditation or philosophy, you are most welcome.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Hoff asks, you mentioned completing a book over the past year. Can you share the subject with us?
Completing book?
Yeah, you wrote a book over the last year, Heath?
Yeah, I wrote book. I finished the book. You could go to Buddha Weekly and you'll find out there. And I'll write to you. And it's a book about what I call is, the title of the book is Sources of all Buddhist protectors, sources of all Buddhist protectors. It's a story about Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhist protectors, Dharma protectors, and the beginning, the background, history, basically history, goes back all the way to Shakyamuni Buddha and time of Buddha. So the stories of like great Dharma protectors like Mahakala. There's many different kinds of Mahakalas, and there's actually 70 different Mahakalas. I'm not talking about all those Mahakalas. There's so many of them. Mainly, I talked about 7 Mahakalas, like 4-face Mahakala, 6-arm Mahakala, and 4-arm Mahakala, so forth. And then Palden Lamo, the glorious Kali Devi, and Chamsra or Chamsing, so on and so forth. So if you're interested, you can contact us. We got lots of copies and big book, about 470 pages. I've done lots of research. And so it tells you the background, history. And for example, we have many Yidams, Yidam deities like Yamantaka, Heruka, Vajrayogini, Chidamanitara, and so on. But who are these Yidam deities? What's the background, history, and so on and so forth. Likewise, there are many protectors. There are Dakinis and Dakas, Bodhisattvas. This whole, what you call in English, pantheon of Buddhist deities and protectors. And I explained what are we, who they are, what is the purpose, why we need protectors, or why do we make supplications to protectors, and what is the benefit, what is all about, So if you read that book, then you'll know. I explained clearly as much as I could. Thank you for your question. And now I'm working on another book, which is the second book on Tara. My first book, Tara in the Palm of Your Hand, you got that one. Now I'm writing the second book on Tara. It's called Tara at Your Lotus Heart. Not at Tara in the Palm of Your Hand. That's the first book. This is the second one, Tara at Your Lotus Heart. And I'm writing this book. It will be published probably in late summer this year. And this book is about commentaries on 21 Taras, generation stage, completion stage, also sadhana of 21 Taras, according Mahasiddha Surya Gupta. I think you have received the 21 Tara initiation from our teacher, His Holiness Kalka Jetsunamba Rinpoche in Vancouver and Toronto. I'm writing a book on that. And also Chitamani Tara as well. So this book too has two parts. Part one is 21 Tara sadhana and commentaries, according Surya Gupta, Mahasiddha Surya Gupta. Second book, part two, is about Chitamani Tara sadhana and practice. So I think you will be very happy to receive this book. I know you practice Tara a lot. Thank you for your questions.
Joan Scott asks, if we are merely following the breath in and out, sometimes it feels a bit too quick. Can we linger on the thought, giving through several breaths of giving or taking?
That's fine. That's perfect. You can do that. That's a good question. More questions now.
Okay, James Vandergrift asks, while practicing tonglen, if our close ones come to mind first, rather than all sentient beings, is this a stage and a good place to start?
Yes, that's good. Because when we talk about all sentient beings, there are so many, numberless, right? And you just sort of do general tonglen practice, which is good, but sometimes they're not so effective in a way, It's a sort of general thing, right? So when you do tonglen practice on a particular person who need the help the most, and this will be very effective, and this is a good way of developing tonglen practice. That's a good question.
Sering asks, if suffering is our friend because awareness of our suffering leads to renunciation, is there any benefit from suffering for beings in other realms who are so fortunate to have such awareness? Let me read again.
Yeah, the second part is not so clear.
Yeah.
Say again.
Is there any benefit from suffering for beings in other realms who are so fortunate to have awareness?
You mean if we develop sentient beings who are suffering on the other realm?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out here. If suffering is our friend because of suffering leads to renunciation, right? Is there
First part is clear.
Yeah. Is there any benefit from suffering for beings in other realms who are so fortunate to have such awareness?
Yeah, so I think your question is there a benefit of meditating on the sufferings of sentient beings on other realms, like animal realms?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, of course. So, see, as I said before, meditate on suffering of all sentient beings, right? That's sort of general meditation. Then we do tonglen practice on that. But then, I answered that question earlier. The person whose name Vance or something, and so you can also sort of put on the side like one particular realm. Say, okay, and this time I'm going to do meditate on tonglen, the suffering of sentient beings who are in the demigod realms. Okay, demigod realm, or let's say animal realm. Right now, in this planet, there are so many animals suffering. Their territories are shrunk and they are extinct, and they're suffering from climate change, food shortage, and slaughtering by people, and hunting, and so much suffering, right? Sentient animals, right? animal realm. So you can meditate on that, just animals all over the world or beyond this world, and so their suffering. So you do tonglen meditation with that. That would be also very helpful, and that would be helpful for them and helpful for us, because we are all interdependent, right? Because when we meditate on the suffering of animals, particularly animals, that helps for sentient beings are not animals like a god, demigod, human being, hungry ghost. Everybody help. It helps everybody because we are all interconnected, and because we all have links between karmic links, and so it helps. And of course, the animals who live around us, it helps them because they need us. We need them because it's part of the cycle of life, and part of kind of like a food chain, like supporting each other. And for example, you have worms inside your garden down there. They're not. If you don't know, they think it's just worms. They're worms, useless. Pull out and give it to the birds, and don't do that. You don't need to do that. Birds know where can get their food. You need the worms down there. They're the most important for your garden, and you don't even know. We know so little about worms, what they do to your garden for your vegetables, and generate so much. I don't know the scientific words, but I understand they're very important. So they're part of the animal realm. You see in the movie 7 Years in Tibet, Brad Pitt, and there you see those monks holding wooden balls, put these little worms and trying to move around. And when that movie first came out, people thought it was a joke. These monks are kind of stupid. What are they trying to save these worms for? What? They're just worms. But these monks, they know the worms are important. We need the worms. Don't kill them. Don't destroy them. Move to another part of the dirt. And, see, the Tibetan monks, they don't study science, Western science, but we have our own science, Abhidharma. Vasubandhu's teaching, Abhidharma Kosha, and talks about all these sentient beings like bacteria and the worms, animals, and the elements, and we know what we're doing here. In Tibet, we know what we're doing.
Good to know. Okay. Good. Thank you for that question, Saren. Adam asks, I recently read your preface for Lama Chopa. You mentioned that Pabonka Rinpoche wrote commentaries about how to combine highest yoga tantra practice. Could you elaborate on this, please?
Highest yoga tantra with
Lama Chopa. Yeah.
How to do the practice?
How to combine them?
Well, this is a interesting question. How to combine? Actually, good question. Actually, Pabonka Rinpoche wrote Heruka Lama Chopa, okay, combined. Heruka Sadhana combined with Lama Tsongkhapa, Lama Chopa, Guru Puja, combined. One text. We call Lama Chopa Denchok Dang Delwa. Okay, Tibetan word Lama Chopa Denchok Dang Delwa means Guru Puja combined with the Heruka Chakra Sambhara, one sadhana. Very beautiful. We do that a lot in the monasteries in Tibet. Not big monasteries, but small monasteries. Then there's another sadhana, Guru Puja combined with Yamantaka. Okay, Lama Chopa Jigje Dang Delwa. Okay, combined with Yamantaka. Then the third one is Lama Chopa Sawan Dubadang Delwa. Guru Puja of Lama Chopa combined with the Gui Samaya Tantra. All three different sadhanas already there. And it's Pabonka Rinpoche's Sungbum at his work. There's 12 volumes. You see, I have one. And you see in Jamyang and Kutan Lama and Jamyang has too. So actually, I think the Lama Chopa Guru Puja combined with Heruka Chakra Sambhara might be already, I think there was already translated in English. You should look, search. Okay? Then Adam, you should look, search. And you should ask Lisa, maybe at Gelek Rinpoche Center in Ann Arbor, Jewel Hart might already have it translated. And they're very good. They got lots of translations, sadhanas. And there is already.
Wonderful, thank you. Susan Garmson asks, can we benefit relatives who have died if we do tonglen meditation for them?
Yes, you can do. You can do. It will benefit for them for sure. Good. All right. No question, right?
That's it.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. All I wish you all the best, and see you next Sunday. Thank you. Take care, everybody. I pray for you, and I send lots of praise and blessings to you. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, please.